Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ryan, or RGR Productions, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I made the arms for part 3 of my Captain Rex Phase 2 armor. Mind you, this is completely made out of cardboard as well. I'm surprised with the great motion that the arms have, so that's another good thing. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing because it greatly motivates me to make more videos like these. Alright, let's get on to the build. The first thing I started off with was shoulders, and I kind of had to troubleshoot through these because at first I tried doing them kind of like the dome strips on my helmet, so you know how it has a strip that's about 3 inches wide and then it has those little grooves in it. I tried doing something like that, then adding pieces to the sides, but then what I realized to do is, as you'll see on the templates, is that what you can actually do is you can just cut it straight down the middle and make it 2 pieces instead of 3 pieces. So with it 3 pieces, it'll be 1 piece in the very middle and then another piece on either side. But with 2 pieces, it'll just be 1 piece and they both meet in the middle. And obviously you can't make it all out of 1 piece of cardboard because that'll take a lot of cardboard to do and it'll be very hard to plan and it won't really be joined at all. So once I was happy with one of the shoulder bells, I did another one, and you can see the shoulder in the background right now. It's a pretty nice shape. It's just 1 piece of cardboard with a bunch of slits facing off of it, and then you glue them together and then form it to the other side. And one thing that you have to do after you finish this is you need to put a piece of wire on the inside edge facing both directions to keep it from bowing out after you've spackled it. Because that's the worst thing to happen, is after you spackle it, the spackle cracks and it just looks really bad. So basically, in all the spackle areas, make sure to add some wires. And I had to make the shoulders 3 times. The first time it was too small, second time it was still too small, and then the third time it was just right. And the reason why they have to be pretty large is because they actually have to overlap onto the bicep. So for the bicep, I took a piece of cardboard that was around 12 inches long, and I cut this little wave shape out of the top of it, and then out of the back, where the back would be, I cut this little semi-oval out, and then I glued that together. And then I started filling in the back area, so I just took another piece of cardboard and glued it on top of that back section, and then I took another piece of cardboard and I wrapped it around the edge to give it like a feathered lip to make it look really nice. This took a little bit of planning to do and it was a little difficult, but once I was happy with the look, it was pretty easy to do and replicate on both of them. Now the next thing I had to do was start working on the elbow pieces. So the elbow pieces are going to be the same diameter as the front pieces, so what I did is I took a 1-foot strip of cardboard that was about 1 inch tall, and I cut it in half to make it 6 inches. And then what I did is I took another piece of cardboard that was about 6.5 inches long, something like that. And the reason why it's not 12 inches when you add it up is because there's going to be a little bit of overlap when you glue it together. Basically, this is the back of the shoulder, the elbow piece, and it needs to like scoop down over on the top of the forearm on the bottom. So what I did is I took that 7-inch piece of cardboard and I extended it so it was about 5 inches tall, and then I just made it like a big like trapezoid, a super tall trapezoid, and that gave it a really nice effect. So then all you had to do was just glue on that strap across the front and bend this in very particular spots. Don't bend this elbow piece in the middle. Only bend it on 2 lines and then anywhere past that towards the sides. I just added a nice piece of wire on the inside of that to make it stick nice and stay in place. One way to make it very easy to bend things in the way you want to is on the back side of the piece, not the front. You take your blade, whether it's a box cutter, X-Acto knife, hobby knife, anyone will work. You just slice down the length of the piece and then that'll allow you to bend it. But make sure that you don't cut all the way through because that won't be good, or else you're gonna have to cut a whole nother piece. That happens occasionally to me, but it could happen to you just as easily. And what I did on the front side of this piece after I was done is I took a little strip of cardboard that was very thin, probably 1/4 inch and 1/8 of an inch, and I glued it on the top half of the front strip and the bottom half as well, and that gave it a really nice effect. So basically with this upper arm, the way they're attached is by some nylon strip up there, and then right here at the front, connecting the elbow to the bicep, and then the shoulder to the bicep, and then there's some Velcro up here that connects the shoulder to the front of the chest. So it just glues directly onto the shirt. So now what I need to do is the forearms, which is probably the second most complicated part next to the shoulders. So I'll cut to that time lapse of me going ahead and doing that. Once again, the top edge of the forearm is going to be 12 inches long, and then what I did is I measured around my wrist, and I made the bottom edge like 9 inches long, and basically it's maybe like 6.5 inches tall. And what you do is you mark out the 12 inches, and then you mark out the 6 inches, make sure they're centered, so it's like there's a gap on either side, and then you just draw a line across to make it uniform. And then what you have to do is you have to fold it kind of diagonally to make it roll up so it would actually be kind of tapered at one end. And then what you have to do is just glue that closed. And then at the bottom edge, right where the wrist goes, at the bottom, there's a little triangle cut out there. So just make sure to add that detail on as well. And then what I ended up doing is mine was a little bit too short, so I just grabbed like a 2-inch tall piece of cardboard and I wrapped that all the way around the top edge. You can see that here. And then one thing that you have to do is on the left arm, you have to make a little control panel, and it varies. In the animated version, it's on the right arm, and then in episode 3, it's on the left arm. So what you have to do is just cut out like a tall rectangle, and then add a little box to the top, and then add a bunch of buttons on top of it. So there's one button on that little rectangle at the top, one big button on the bottom rectangle, and then 8 smaller buttons below that. And then once you have that done, you can just glue that on the left arm. And then what you have to do is start building around that. So once you have it on, you have to glue on some walls on the sides and then a wall on the front edge. And what this does is it adds a barrier to where once you put the spackle on and make it look nice and smooth, it won't cave in on itself and it will actually work really nicely. And then the last thing I had to do was the hand plates, which is basically just a rectangle with a couple rounded off corners, and one of the top edges is just raised a little bit. Just imagine that. And then there's just a fold down the middle. This one's very important not to fold more than once. Just that one fold right down the middle. Then you can just Velcro them to the gloves. So here we have all of the arm pieces completely done. We have the whole upper section that I showed you earlier with the shoulders, the biceps, and the elbows. And this detail at the back was really difficult to do, but I'm really happy with how it came out. And the way I attach these is actually pretty clever. You can see how there's this nylon strap, but it's glued at the top right here, like at the very top. It's not glued anywhere down here, and then it's glued down here at the bottom, nowhere down here. So what this allows it to do is it allows it to pivot forwards and backwards really easily. So that means when you raise your arm up and down, it actually like forms to your body, and it works really well. And then one thing I did on the elbows is I added this little extra lip around the bottom edge. Now this isn't on the template files in the future, but it's really easy to do. It's just a very tiny little strip of cardboard that you just put around the edge, and that is on both sides. And then here's the other forearm piece, and the other one's basically just like this. It just doesn't have the control pad right here. So the one thing that I did with this is what you can do is you can wrap all of the buttons with thin pieces of cardboard. I just decided to do that for the big one and none of the small ones because that would have been way too much time and I don't have much time to finish this. And then with these sides, I didn't care to make this look too good because that's going to get spackled over into the future. And also I left these holes open over here because that's also going to get spackled over in the future. Basically the main thing with this is try to make the top edge the same diameter as the bicep and try to make the bottom edge really small, but make sure that you can actually fit your hand into it. So in the next episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working on the torso piece. That's going to be all the way from below the chest all the way to right above the legs, so that area. So now let's cut to the outro. This video was really fun to make and I highly recommend that you make it too. So in this episode I outlined how to make the hand plates, the forearms, the elbows, the biceps, and the shoulders on both arms. So in the next episode I'm going to be showing you how to make this torso piece, the whole belt with all of those boxes on it, and then the cod piece that goes on the back of the butt plate, and then the cod piece on the front. So that's going to come out probably next week. If you have any suggestions for what I should make next, please leave them in the comments down below. This has been RGR Productions, signing off. Till next time.